Hello, hello, hello. I am Shane Moore, and I am the Texarcist. And I will be here with you for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, as we discuss a very perplexing case, to say the least. Tonight we'll be talking about black-eyed children, but this is from an email that I received 2 weeks ago by a couple who listens to the show. And this is probably the most unsettling, perplexing, and just pure evil, paranormal anything that I've ever heard. They have asked that they, keep their privacy, and so we'll be using your pseudonames. I mean, Bruce and Linda. Bruce is 68, Linda is 66, and this encounter with black-eyed children, and for those of you that don't know what black-eyed children are, it was long thought to be an urban legend. Actually, I believe that the first case that I know of happened in Austin, and around 1994, something like that. A man was at the movies and went out to his car, and there were two children that approached him. They were like maybe 11, 12, maybe 13, very thin, very pale, and they were asking him if he could give them a ride. And he said that he just felt this very, very uneasy feeling, this evil that was just, pouring off of these children. And he told them no. And that's when they began to bang on his windows and, let us in, let us in. And he said he tore out of there, and it was very, very scary, to say the least, for him. And then more people started experiencing the black-eyed children. And if you think about it, there's reasons why that this is very, very unsettling. It's just it's creepy. It's unsettling. It is. It awakens fears within us that we never knew were there, and I'll explain why. And then we'll get into the details of what Linda has shared with me. I say Linda has shared with me because her husband Bruce is currently in the hospital, as his health has rapidly and unusually, mysteriously declined and deteriorated since the initial encounter. I say initial encounter because there have been multiple encounters. This is a case that you will not soon forget, and so make your coffee extra strong tonight. And Linda and Bruce are listening from the hospital. Linda, Bruce, I thank you so much for sharing your story with me, and I just want you to know that I will help you any way I can. Bruce, hang in there, and just know that myself and the listeners all over the world are praying for you, pulling for you, and for both of you in this nightmare scenario. Linda, feel free to text me if you think of anything, or you want to add something, or you want to say something. This is about you. This is about you and Bruce. So, with that being said, I will take a short break, and when I come back, we'll dive right in. So, get ready, get ready, because this is going to be one that will be remembered for a long time.
Without any warning, we're sucking up the oxygen. The room is getting smaller. We always have it coming, like animals who like to bite, tasting our disaster. 20-something seconds go on and on. 20-something seconds go. I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. I know we can do better. I'm not ready for darkness. If we promise to hold on and to never let go, I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. Hey, 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 hey. I'm ready to absorb you, feeding on your triggered lies. My ignorance defines you. The roof is gonna cave in, roaring with some dinosaurs, so caught up in the moment. 20-something seconds go on and on. 20-something seconds go. I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. I know we can do better. I'm not ready for darkness. If we promise to hold on and to never let go, I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. Hey, 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 if we promise to hold on and to never let go, I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for. I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. I know we can do better. I'm not ready for darkness. If we promise to hold on and to never let go, I'm not ready for darkness. I'm not ready for darkness. Hey, 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 hey,
And I am back. Well, I hope everybody is doing great and keeping well under the circumstances with COVID-19, and just, I'll tell you, we got to take it day by day, don't we? I mean, it's crazy times that we're living in, and this is, it's just, I mean, 2020 has been unparalleled as far as being a shocker. I mean, I did not see this coming. I mean, I did not see everything that has happened so far in 2020 coming, not by a long shot. And man, you talk about talk about rough. I mean, it's beyond rough. And I honestly believe that this, couple, what they're experiencing is part of that this 2020 I don't know. 2020 has been sinister. Hello, Mona. Glad you joined us. Joined me, rather. One is a lonely number. And I welcome everyone to take part in the live chat. Feel free to ask any questions and make any comments that you want, because this is we're going to be all over the place tonight. So, but like I said, 2 weeks ago, a listener, actually a couple, that are listeners of the show, sent me a chilling email. And I have to say, like I said, the couple, they are listening now, we'll say Bruce and Linda, from Bruce's hospital room, where his health has declined since October 6th of last year, since the night that they were deceived. That's the only word that I can use. Were deceived by what is called BEK, or black-eyed children. And it was a horrific experience that Linda said basically that these children held them in their own home captive for like 2 hours, and just showing them how evil, or showing them how superior they were. Hello, Cheryl. West Virginia. Well, Texas says hello there. West Virginia. Glad you joined us. But Linda said that they seem to take great delight in showing their superior knowledge of things that they should not have known, things that they would have no way of knowing by conventional means. And not to mention other things that we'll get into that it's just, I mean, there could be a movie could be made about this, and it would be right up there with, Stephen King's best. I mean, it is, whoa. Anyway, what took place on the night of October the 6th, 2019, like I said, Bruce and Linda. Bruce is 68, Linda is 66. They live in the Midwest United States. They have asked to maintain their privacy. So I'm treating this with the utmost confidentiality. And if Linda wants to talk or Bruce wants to talk, that's fine. I have no problem. But at this time, they do not wish to talk under the circumstances. And it turns out there's a lot more at play here. That there's a lot more at stake here than just black-eyed children. I mean, there's a lot more at work, I believe. But what happened is, Linda said that it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. Actually, that would be October the 7th, but around midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, there was a knock at the door. this, like a panic knock. And she said that they usually didn't, go to sleep until, 1 or 2. So they were getting ready for bed, Anyway, this knocking comes at the door, and it sounds very panicked. And so Linda runs to the door, looks out, and by the way, they have a Rhodesian Ridgeback dog, which is they are beautiful dogs, powerful dogs, and were used in Rhodesia, Africa, to handle lions. So I mean they're very powerful, protective dogs. And she said, it was very strange that their dog did not charge the door, didn't even bark. I asked her if he whined, if he cried, and she said no, he didn't do anything. She said he just stood there looking at the door, which is very unusual. Okay, so Linda runs to the door. She looks out. She thinks that it's a prank knocker, knock and run. So she looks down, and she sees these little kids, approximately 6 and 7, and they're shaking and they're scared, And she opens the door and she says, "Oh my gosh," And by that time, Bruce comes, to the door, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, are they hurt or whatever?" And they tell her, "Our mama had a wreck up the road." And they're thinking, "Oh my God," their mother has, had a wreck, and they came to the first house that they could, poor little children. And so they, in just like any of us would, they brought them in their house. And Linda says that she said that what was so strange about it was that as soon as they got in the house, that they sat on the couch and didn't say much, just sat there. And she said, she asked him, she says, "Where did what happened?" And he said, "Our mama wrecked," and it was the same words, it was like it was scripted. So she and Bruce were kind of suspicious, they're really not they're really thinking, okay, did these kids, run away from home, or is this a joke or whatever, And she said that she went into the kitchen after they repeatedly refused or just ignored her questions about where this wreck took place and where their mother was. And she went into the kitchen and she got these, pudding, little plastic pudding deals, Jell-O pudding or whatever it is. And she took it to them, okay? And she said it was so strange how they acted, because they looked at the pudding like, what is this? How do I get into this? And they didn't seem to know that what the little spoon was for, the little wooden spoon or whatever, the little plastic spoon was for. It was kind of like they were out of time, out of space, just very strange. And she said that she noticed that that there was a stench, a very putrid stench. And she said, I'm not, trying to be gruesome or gross. I said, oh, don't worry. I said, I've heard it all. I said, just lay it on me. And she said, Shane, it smelled like that they had been dead for, a week or 2 weeks. She said it was like rotted flesh or, rotted meat. And I'm thinking, whoa. And she said, I'm thinking, well, maybe it was the accident they were in, or, maybe it's the stress or, whatever. And then she said that she noticed their fingernails were all paper thin, or there were no nails at all, and some looked like that they were like a bluish color, just very, very unusual. And she asked them. She said, did you hurt yourself in the wreck? And she said that they looked at her like, what are you talking about? And that's when she and Bruce realized that they had, they were dealing with more than just two children that, it just didn't make sense, didn't add up. And she said that she asked them, she said, did you hurt your fingers? Did you hurt all your fingers in the wreck? She says, because I see that your fingers are injured. And she said that's when the girl looked up, and she said, they're about 6 or 7 years old. So the girl looked up, and she said her eyes turned black, followed by the little boy's eyes. And she said that's when everything changed. Everything. So it was like everything was fine until they felt like that they were being, that their cover was blown, or that, the ruse was up. And then she said that it was from then on, it was terrifying. Just this seething, sinister, vibrations that were coming off of these two small children whose clothes were, they weren't like, rags, but they weren't really appropriate clothes. Okay. They were old, and worn, which is, I'm just telling you what she told me. But I asked her, I said, could it have been like from another time? Gosh, I'm open to just about anything. Are these time travelers, or Mona says, this is going to give me nightmares tonight. Oh man, imagine how I feel. And Linda, I told Bruce and Linda this already. When she was telling me this, I'm thinking, okay, number one, I don't really believe what I'm hearing right now. And number two, if I was in your house when those two kids were there, I would have asked you, where do you want that exit? Because I'm about to make it. They're going to pick me up on Doppler radar, tearing through trees, whatever. Yeah, I'm not sticking around when, children who are what? And this is what is so unsettling about this. What's the most innocent thing in the world? A child. Okay? What do you look at when you're talking to someone, when you're communicating with someone, and you look into their eyes? What are the eyes? Well, they've been called the window to the soul. So you put all that together, and you're not talking about black-eyed children as much as you're talking about black souls. What are black souls? Well, how about masters of deception? How about, this is what Linda said. She said, I want to tell my story, to tell our story. She said, so others will not be deceived and be victimized by the whatever they are. She said, because she said they prey on your empathy and your compassion. The natural human reaction to someone being in distress, someone being in pain, someone being hurt, especially a child. And then the eyes, which is very strange because before the show, about an hour before the show, I was talking to my mother. She happened to see what the topic was tonight, and she said, "Oh my God!" She said, "When I was a little girl," she said, "there were these kids I was playing with that she and my uncle were playing with," and she said, I was scared of these kids. She said, I could just feel that they were evil. And she said, all of a sudden, she said, they looked at me and their eyes turned black. And I said, oh my God, Mom. I said, you never told me about this. And she said, yeah. She said, it scared me so bad. She said, I never went back. I said, well, did my uncle go back? She says, yeah. She said he was friends with them, said it didn't bother him. And so I'm thinking, well, it doesn't mean that he was necessarily evil or he was part of it. It's just that, maybe if it didn't bother him, it didn't bother them, But my mom, being an empath and having different, she can feel things and read people, and that's what I want to make clear, is that in this case and every case that I've heard of, is that everything's fine until they find out that you suspect something, or that something's up, or you start asking them questions. See, questions that they can't answer, because in my opinion, they're not children. I don't really know what they are, but just like the pudding, they didn't know what, they're looking at it like, what's this, like they had never seen a Jell-O pudding, pop container or a little plastic spoon. And come on. Even if you haven't, you would know. You pull the plastic off and you eat it with a spoon. They didn't know. And But this, when she asked them about their fingernails, and she said that some of their nails were like, were sticking straight up, just, like they had been torn from the bed and paper thin. And I'm thinking, oh man, she said some of them did. She said some of some of their fingers didn't even have nails. And I'm thinking, okay, that's very strange, And she said that their teeth were unclean, just dirty, corroded, I guess you would say, and that they, like I said, there was a horrible stench, so they obviously, hadn't bathed. And I'm thinking, well, if you don't know how to eat food, you're not going to know how to bathe. But anyway, when she asked them about their fingernails and if they hurt all of their fingers in the wreck, that's when the little girl looked up and things turned very, very sinister. And the little girl wasn't such a little girl anymore. She was very, very, took this superior, authoritarian mode, went into this authoritarian mode, and just, basically, her and the little boy terrorized Bruce and Linda for approximately 2 hours. Okay, and this is what happened: is Bruce has asthma, and not severe, but it's nothing to take lightly. Okay, Linda says that the kids are sitting on the couch, and by this time their eyes were no longer black. They were, brown, or I think she said that the little girl had blue eyes and the little boy had brown eyes. I think I would have to check. Yeah. The boy, she said the boy had brown eyes and the girl had blue eyes. And, but their eyes were no longer black. And they're just sitting there, just staring at Bruce and Linda. Well, Bruce gets tired of it, and he says, okay, look, he says, I don't know what's going on. He says, you kids, he says, are, he says, you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing or something. He says, because he says, if your mother wrecked the car, he said, you would be concerned about her, and he says, and you wouldn't be acting the way that you're acting now. And he actually thought that it was some kind of trick they were doing, or like black contacts or something, and so he told him, he says, he says, you kids. And Linda said that every time he would say you kids, she said that they both would just turn their head and just stare at him with a menacing stare, like, how dare you address us like that, And Linda was scared. Bruce was ready to, stomp some little ass, I think, I mean, they're in his house, they're in their house and just taking charge like that. Well, then it gets worse. Creepy. Linda says that they look at each other and start giggling. Just giggling. And that Bruce starts having a really, really severe asthma attack. And when he does, both of the children start going like, oh, 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 like he is, except they're laughing. They're laughing and they're like dancing, like Ring Around the Rosie, And Bruce said, he said, I couldn't breathe. He said it was like there was a large hand on my throat that was, that was squeezing my throat, choking me, where I couldn't breathe. He said it wasn't just asthma as much as it was, cutting off my air supply, And the whole time, their dog is hiding under the kitchen table as far back as he can get. And like I said, wasn't whining, wasn't crying, and certainly was not barking or trying to bite these, kids or take care. See, Cheryl, you say it seems like having a big white Great Pyrenees isn't going to protect me. Well, hopefully she or he would. My dog, my 10-year-old Chihuahua, would probably take him right to me and say, "Here he is," No, no, seriously, he probably would. But yes, Mona, she says, giggling evil kids, creepy. Yes, that is very creepy, and that is a reoccurring thing that happens. And man, you talk about weird. Yes, they're giggling before he, like a minute before he has like the worst asthma attack he's ever had in his life. They're looking at each other giggling. And then when he starts having this severe asthma attack, Lynn said it was like when they would breathe, they were breathing for him. When they would stop, he would stop breathing. And that's what they were laughing about. They were like controlling him like a ventriloquist doll, but it was his breath, I mean, that's weird, creepy. Mona says that's a death song. Yeah, I mean, yeah, just, very, very strange. But, so he takes his, medication, and the little girl, Linda asked them what their names were, and the little girl said her name was Bridget, and the little boy said his name was Ernie. Now, okay, that's fine. I mean, there's nothing, but I don't know. I mean, that's just very strange that that to me those two names, they just don't go together. It's like you would not name a child, your daughter Bridget, name your son Ernie. Maybe you would, I don't know, but it just, and the bigger picture, looking at this, nothing makes sense. I mean, it's just completely, very, very, like I said, we're going to be all over the place. But then to show, to make sure that Bruce, as he said, would toe the line and not not give them any more trouble or disrespect them by calling you kids. The little girl, Bridget, if you will, she stands up and she walks by where Bruce is in his recliner. Okay, well, at that time, I mean, he was, had on his, pajamas, pajama bottoms, top, whatever. And she walked by and she put her hand on his leg, on his calf, She looked at him and she said, your son Joseph says hello. And Linda said that she almost fainted. And Bruce said that, he said that it was like somebody had poured ice water all over him. Because you see, Joseph was their son who sadly committed suicide when he was 24 years old. Linda said there is no way that girl could have known about that. No way. And she was smiling when she said it, very, full of spite, just pure spite, pure evil, and seemed to relish in the pain that she caused these parents of their son Joseph, that committed suicide. She seemed to be very happy about it. And Linda asked me, she said, I listen to your show and everything, and she says, what do you truly think that this might be? She said, do you think it's a projection of my own consciousness? And I said, well, I don't believe your own consciousness would affect your husband in the way that he has been physically affected, his health, immediately after this initial encounter. I said, I don't think that would, that would be the case. I said, possibly, but, anything's possible. Possibly, but very unlikely. And she said that the children used the restroom, used their bathroom, and she never heard the toilet flush. And when she went in, nothing had been moved. There, nothing had been touched. So it's like, okay, that's strange. What did the kid do? What did the little girl, what did the little boy do? Did they just walk in the bathroom and stand there? Were they receiving orders from, it's weird. And she says, what do you think that this could be? And I said, I have no idea. I said, black-eyed children, I said, be honest with you, I said, I was like, okay, unless you can show me a black-eyed, child of this caliber, I'm gonna be a skeptic. I'm gonna say, okay, maybe somebody, it's a projection of their own consciousness, and they believe that they're seeing it. But this was two people, Bruce and Linda, and they're validating each other. They saw the same thing, and I've talked to Linda much more than Bruce because of his being very ill and in the hospital. but talk to them separately, and they tell the same story. I mean, it's, nothing changes. So that says a lot. And it's just, you talk about creepy. Well, so what happened is when she asked me, she says, what could this be? I said, for some reason, I just have to ask this. Do you live near any military bases? And she said, well, matter of fact, I do. And I said, I don't know. I said, could be a psyop, could be a psychological operation, which is what I've thought about the black-eyed children for, quite some time, is that it could be. I'm not saying that it is, because I don't know. I'll be honest, I have no idea, but I'm just brainstorming here. It could be a psychological operation where, just to, where the military, they want to see, it's like, Vietnam, where, I believe it was Vietnam or the Korean War, where they would, send out soldiers dressed like ghosts or zombies or whatever, because they found out that's what the Viet Cong, or it's what they feared most, was zombies or ghosts or people rising from the dead or whatever. And so they'd take soldiers and make them up to be what they feared most and send them out, or what was the most evil thing in that culture or whatever. And well, the most evil thing in our culture would be little demon kids. So I don't know. I'm not saying that it is, but hey, it wouldn't surprise me. But that doesn't explain what these children, or what I want to say children. I mean, they're obviously not your normal children, but that doesn't explain their power, their knowledge that's way beyond their years. Okay, Linda says that she and Bruce, said, hey, look, we want to take you to your mother. We want to check on your mother, and if that's not possible, then we're going to call the police. Which I told Linda, I said, really? I said, you should have called the police immediately. I said, as soon as you let them in, you should have called the police immediately. Now, you do not want to take children into your home, and in this day and age, and it's just not a good idea. And in this case, it was a really, really not a good idea. It turned out to be the black-eyed children. Okay. So she says that they, tell them, I'm going to call the police if you don't take us to your mother, because, they said that they were fed up. They're like, hey, this is our house. They didn't say this because, And I said, why didn't you call the cops? And she said, Shane, we couldn't. She said, you have no idea. She says, the atmosphere was so thick you could cut it with a knife. She said, we were unable to. She said, they were in total control. And, which, man, you want to talk. Oh. Well, anyway. So the kids are like, okay, we don't want that to happen for some reason. So I say, okay. And so Bruce and Linda open the door. They're front door, and as they're walking to their car, the kids take off. Boom, they're gone. And she said it was like, they said it was like, boom. They just ran into like another dimension. Just boom, they're gone. Which, maybe not literally, but maybe so. I mean, I don't know, but okay. And so she and Bruce were very, very happy that was over with. And I would be too. Okay, fast forward to about a week and a half later. Linda says that she gets up and goes out, to get her mail, and she said that her mailbox is across the street, across the road, whatever. She walks out her front door, and still sleepy or whatever. And she walks out her front door to get her mail, and standing beside her mailbox is Bridget and Ernie, smiling, grinning. And she said, "Oh my God," she said, "I'm losing my mind." She said, "This is what insanity is." And I said, "Well, not really." Because if an insane person doesn't think about being insane, they think they're perfectly fine. So anyone that does any introspective, looking, searching, is proof positive you're not insane. And she said that they were really there because she said that her dog, Ben, I might as well give him, kudos because he went through this too. Ben, the Rhodesian Ridgeback, he would usually go with Linda to get the mail. He went out, and when he saw these two kids, he turned around and went back in. And she said that was so very unlike him, because he loved walking with her, to get the mail every morning. So, and she said, there again, he was very quiet, very silent, very, docile, withdrawn, passive, just, scared. And so, anyway, it's, Mona says, I know, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, it's like, man, this is like I said, it is the, it's definitely the worst, the worst case that and I told Linda, I said, I'm not trying to, not trying to scare you or, say that there's no hope, because there's always hope. I said, but man, I said, what you're telling me, I said, sounds like the perfect, the perfect storm, the perfect nightmare. I mean, it's like, whoa, what else could happen? Well, shouldn't have asked that question, because she has kept very, very detailed notes, dates and times, and like I said, we've talked, several times, not enough, but we will talk more, and we've already discussed this, and Bruce will also, when he's better, But speaking of Bruce, okay, about that time, about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, after this initial encounter, where the little girl touched, put her hand on Bruce's leg, on his calf, when she told him, Joseph says hi, their son who committed suicide at 24. Okay, where she put her hand, there appeared this this sore. It began as like a red blotch, and then it became like a sack of fluid, and then the skin started sloughing off. Okay, very, not pleasant at all. And so it starts, skin starts sloughing off. You've got MRSA, you've got flesh-eating bacteria, you got, it's bad news. So go to the hospital. What they find at the hospital is very, very strange, okay? They're picking up levels of, get this, they're picking up levels of radiation, like radiation poisoning or radiation burns. Like he had been subjected to, I don't know, 1 or 2 sieverts of radiation, which is a lot. I mean, would be like, I don't know, it would be like 200 chest x-rays, something like that. You can look it up, sieverts, SIEVERTS, and, sievert, lethal radiation, but he was showing the signs, showing every sign of radiation poisoning or burns or whatever, but they were picking up an unknown radiation, origin unknown, type unknown, which is very strange because, medically, when something is unknown, it's alien. And, do you think that could be the case? Sounds like it to me. So, but Bruce was in his recliner. Linda was sitting across the living room from the children. The children were on the couch. Bruce's recliner is like part of the couch. It's like the end of the couch. Children made sure to sit next to Bruce, and I don't think it's just by chance that the girl put her hand on his calf, was meant to be. I told Linda, I said, what you told me so far tells me that for some reason, somehow, some unknown reason, Bruce was targeted. And I asked her, I said, has Bruce ever served in the military since, we were talking about that, talking about the, psychological operations. She says, no, never has. Never did. Okay. He had a bad heart valve or something, and they kept him from going in the service. So that's not the case. So what else could it be? So so I asked her, about her son, and what the story was behind that, about him, committing suicide when he was 24. And I wasn't being rude or anything. I just wanted to know what the backstory was, because the more I know, the more I can analyze and try to find patterns and reasons, and sooner or later they're going to show. And it's just that right now this one is not giving up much. It's just well, it's giving up a lot as far as the creepy factor. And one thing I told Bruce Enlund, I said, they said we love your sense of humor, talking about like very, very frightening things. And I said, well, hey, when you're laughing about something, you can't very well be afraid of it. And trust me, my sense of humor has gotten me through very, very scary things. I'm not going to lie to you. I was scared to death. But, I've been researching the, paranormal and demonic, or whatever you want to call it, for over 28 years now. And that is your greatest weapon, believe it or not, is a sense of humor. And mainly because it takes power away from from sinister, evil beings, whatever you want to call them. Are they projections of our consciousness? I had suspected that for about the last 10 years maybe. With the last 3 years, really, and I told Mona, I said, hey, I said, I'm going to tell you something. I said, it is my belief now, after helping, a lot of people with the quote-unquote demonic and malicious hauntings and things like that. I told Mona, I said, it is my belief now that yes, it could be an outside force that is inherently evil. I said, but it's very doubtful. I said, it is my belief, and I'm not talking about this case. It's my belief that people that are suffering from demonic attack or demonic oppression, they have something in their lives. They may not even know about it. They have something in their lives, something in their psyche that or they've experienced some kind of trauma or abuse that they may have completely covered up, may have just completely wiped the slate clean. But no matter how clean you wipe that slate, it's always going to come back up. No matter how deep you bury it, it's always going to rise. It's never going to stay buried. It's going to come back. It's going to come back. It's going to come back. And the more, it's just like Freud said, the more you repress it, the stronger it gets. And that's true. usually whenever people contact me and say, hey, we've got demonic activity in our house, dishes are breaking, there's light bulbs blowing out, fuses are being blown, this and that, we've got disembodied voices, and my first question is, okay, do you have a child, namely, do you have a girl? Is there a girl in your family that is nearing or going through puberty? So they say no. Then is there a boy? And most of the time, people are like, "How did you know that?" Well, because I've done this for a while, okay. And I mean, I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just telling you the truth. What happens is the truth is we know more about the surface of Mars, the planet, than we do our own oceans, the beds of our own oceans. We know more about Mars than we do the human psyche, the human mind, and what it's capable of. And what happens is during puberty, and now I'm hearing about girls that are going through puberty when they're 9, 10, 11 years old. And that's a big indication. It's a big indicator of sexual abuse in those cases. So, don't take that lightly. But what happens is the biochemicals, the hormones. When a child's going through puberty, their hormones are in overdrive. I mean, everything is out of whack. Everything is boom, 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 boom. Crazy. And there's something in those biochemicals that I believe works with the pineal gland. The pineal gland, which is often been called the seat of the soul, face of God, whatever you want to call it, the third eye, the single eye. What happens is that third eye, their pineal gland becomes temporarily activated, hopefully temporarily activated at that age because of the biochemicals, the hormones. And when that happens, the third eye is open. The Tower of Babel, Tower of Babel, pineal gland. The narrow way, Jesus said, broad is the way that leads to destruction, narrow way that leads to life, to eternal life. The narrow way is the pineal gland. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. The pineal gland. It is the only, it's not really a gland, it's an organ. It is in the brain, but it's not really a part of the brain. Okay? So what I'm saying is you no doubt have read, if you are listening to this, you probably have read about the pineal gland, the third eye, and what happens when your third eye is activated. And some people, they think they're going crazy. They think that they're going insane because of all of this information, all of this power like they've never experienced before. Power like, knowledge that they wouldn't know by conventional means. and things like psychokinesis, telekinesis, moving objects with their mind, or some people have been supposedly levitated, things like that. Okay, defying physics. Do I believe that? Yes. In those cases, yes. And in some cases, I have seen that. I have personally witnessed that. So it's not a huge jump. And Linda, I'm not taking anything away from you or Bruce, but it's not a huge jump to say, okay, possibly, you or Bruce experienced some form of trauma, which could have been, your son at 24, which Linda has, told me that she's completely open, and that she would let me know beforehand if she didn't want me to talk about something. And so I'm not, I'm not blabbing, and but Linda told me how incredibly, she said it was like dying, was like she and Bruce died when their son, killed himself. Okay. You take that trauma, that horrible trauma, and I find it very, I don't find it strange, but it's not two little boys. It's a little girl, and it's a little boy. And Linda, I think I've, told you about possibly that's a projection of, you and Bruce, and that your souls, your hearts were broken, literally. What's your heart? It's your soul. What's the window to the soul? Your eyes. Black eyes, black soul. Black, death. Putrefaction. The stench, the smell that the children had, like they were dead. Yeah. You do the math on that. And I'm talking to the listener. I'm not talking to Bruce and Linda. God bless them, and God keeps them, and oh man, they've been through enough. But what I'm saying is I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm simply brainstorming and trying to give a possible explanation to a perplexing case that just gets more and more strange and creepier nonstop. And so that's really something to think about, something to consider. Is Bruce and Linda are the only ones who have seen these children? Is another thing. Well, Bruce and Linda and Ben, the Rhodesian Ridgeback. But could it be that Ben, the dog, can see what they're projecting? And like I said, I've talked with Linda, I've talked with Bruce about this. Okay, so I'm not running them down. I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm just, because believe it or not, your mind Your mind is the most paranormal thing that has ever been. I mean, you have no idea. No idea the power of your mind. So, I'm going to take a short break, and when I come back, we will continue discussing even more high strangeness in this case, and how it just gets deeper and deeper, and wow. Again, if you want to, feel free to take part in our live chat, and tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about what you've heard so far. I know Linda would love to hear what you think, and Bruce would also. So probably Ben too, their Rhodesian Ridgeback, a beautiful breed of dog. And those that know me know that I'm a dog lover. So anyway, pour yourself another cup of coffee, and I'll be back in 3 minutes. Okay, and I'm back. Yes. So we were talking about Mona says, awesome, hurry back. Well, thank you. I mean, Bruce and Linda are awesome. And I really, really appreciate them contacting me, and with their story. This is about them, you know, and I'm just doing what I can do to get their story out. Maybe somebody can give them some answers, you know. And I mean, that's all we can do is to just put our minds together, you know. More minds, more possibilities. I mean, so take part. Let us know what you're thinking, and we value your thoughts, your opinions, and I, of course, you know, ask everyone that contacts me with these, with, you know, stories of accounts of the paranormal. You know, have you ever suffered from, you know, mental illness? And that's a question that mandatory. And no, neither one of them has suffered from, you know, mental illness. But there again, I have to say that that when something that traumatic happens to some people, there's always that chance. There's always that chance that the psyche, that the mind will fracture, or something will take place that will activate what I believe, in my opinion, and I'm no professional, I'm just giving you my opinion, activate the pineal gland, or release awesome amounts of biochemicals that you know, somehow work with what is projected and creates these things. Okay, now that's what I did. That's what I did think. You know, not in this case, because in November, Bruce was in the hospital last year. November was the first week of November or something like that. He's in the hospital dealing with this type of radiation burn or poisoning or whatever from an unknown source, with every sign of radiation poisoning. Okay, and Linda said that she was in the this was at night. She says, like, you know, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. She was in the hospital cafeteria and was, you know, getting a bite to eat, and she was the only one there, you know, and she hears this giggling, you know, again, that giggling. Whew. And it's like, when she told me that, I mean, it's like my hair stood up. I was like, oh man. And she said that she just, you know, she froze, you know, just pure fear. And that she turned her head and she looked, and she said, there were the two kids. And she said by that time they were laughing. And I'm thinking, my God, I mean, this guy's in the hospital. with possible radiation poisoning from some unknown source, and his, the skin, the meat is falling off of his leg, as he put it, and it's not looking good, and you have these kids that are laughing, and Linda said that she like jumped up and she ran towards them, and they ran down the hall, and of all places they went was in the little hospital chapel. And she said before they went in, pulled the door open, said the little boy pulled the door open, looked at her, and she said his eyes turned black, and the girl went in, and then the little boy went in, and she said that she ran up, she grabbed the door before it closed, she jerked the door open. Guess what? Nobody was in that chapel. Nobody was in that little chapel. But the giggling continued, she said, for like another 30 seconds in that chapel. Yeah, I was, whoa. I am thinking, okay, most evil, or, quote unquote evil beings or whatever, they're going to avoid a chapel. They're going to avoid, anything religious, anything spiritual. They're not going to run into a chapel. So what's going on? Well, I have no idea. But I'm certainly, searching and trying to make, to see what's going on. Possibly, hopefully. But just, those of you that are listening to this live, those of you that are listening to the replay, have you ever heard of anything like this? Have you ever experienced have you ever known of anyone experiencing anything even remotely like this? Bruce's white blood cell count has dropped very, very low. And I mean very, very low. Like to almost zero, which is not good. And that is very, very, that's just like, radiation poisoning. After a while, after the initial exposure, the blast or whatever, all the white blood cells die. And then, further testing on him has, they have, said that his, that on a genetic level, that it's that it's basically falling apart, which is another sign, another symptom of radiation poisoning. And you have to ask yourself, okay, if nothing happened, and this is a figment of their imaginations, which I don't believe it is, but let's just say that, that it is a projection. It is a mental projection. How do you explain that? How do you explain that this man whose only health problem was a valve, was a bad, slightly bad valve in his heart, mitral valve prolapse. Okay, I think it was wrong. you know. And after the incident on October the 6th, October 7th, that night, early morning, this happens, you know, with his leg and the radiation poisoning, white blood cells going, and then on a genetic level, you know, his very DNA is like breaking down. This man's fighting for his life. I mean, how does that happen? And what's at play here? Well, I don't know. I mean, it's I don't think that he was subjected to radiation at that level just by chance. I mean, in his own home. I mean, it's not like he has a nuclear reactor there, you know, in his house. I mean, and I find it very strange that Linda doesn't, you know, show any sign of the same, you know, radiation poisoning or the symptoms. And she was in the same room. But as I said, from what she's told me, I felt like that Bruce was the target, and for whatever reason. So, but it has long been said that the black-eyed kids, that they have to be invited in before they can come in your house. Like, you know, they can enter your home. And okay, I think that's a bit misleading and probably disinformation, because, you know, it's like more like the, you know, paranormal according to Hollywood, you know, where the vampire has to ask, you know, for permission to come in your house or whatever. Which, you know, brings me to another point, is that that what I say, the opinions I give, the advice I give, the theories I give, are all based in reality. And, you know, it may not seem like it, but yeah, it's based in reality. With the mental projections and the power of the human mind, who knows? But yeah. And the reason that I say that is because I was talking about people with Rh negative blood. This has been something that I have, you know, researched, something I've studied, and I myself, I have Rh null blood, the golden blood, the Bombay blood, whatever you want to call it. There's only 45 people in the world that have it. And it can be given to anyone. That's why it's called the golden blood, because it's worth more than gold. And it can even be given to animals. That was very, very strange, very weird to say the least, whenever I found out that I had Rh null blood type. But I was talking about, the different blood types, and, you know, the, you know, theories on Rh negative, and there's this guy on YouTube that, you know, comes on, and he says you need to go to a church and get some blades, you know, these certain seraphim blades or something like that, you know. and you need to forge those. And he says, you're not like Sam or Dean or Van Helsing. And I'm thinking, is this guy serious? And he was. And I simply said, after this novel that he wrote, telling me how what I was to do, because I was not doing the right thing. I needed to protect churches and with certain blades and everything. And I see him talking about Sam and Dean, so I Google Sam and Dean, so I have no idea what he's talking about. And it's from Supernatural, the series or whatever. And I just, reply to the guy, and I say, sorry, I prefer to deal in reality, you're talking about Hollywood characters. Yeah, characters. They're actors. They're not real. It's a story. And I prefer to discuss reality. And this guy comes back at me and just, blows me out of the water, or he thinks, and tells me, you are performing the most sacrilegious disservice to everyone. And he starts telling me how bad I am, how evil I am, and I just blocked the guy. But there's so much of that. So much of people say, okay, this can happen and this cannot happen. Why? Well, because on Sabrina the Teenage Witch and on Supernatural, or one of these series or shows, which I don't watch TV, so I don't know these shows or whatever. But anyway, what I'm saying is just because Hollywood, just because it's in a movie or a series, doesn't mean that it's truth. I mean, come on. It was written. Now, I will admit that there are some, series that are the writers, they have inside knowledge of certain things, of the occult and esoteric knowledge, especially with Sabrina the Teenage Witch, believe it or not. But the truth is, anything's possible. And when somebody tells you, well, that can't happen, again, think about how much we know, how much is actually known about the power of the human mind. And I don't know. I do know one thing. I have a theory on some of the hauntings, some of the supposed demonic attachments, or demonic activity, possession, whatever you want to call it. Is that there are the people that I've dealt with that were going through demonic oppression, and Mona says, I love the Sabrina show. I know you do. And I love you, Mona. But that's, I just lost my train of thought. See what the woman does to me? Anyway. By the way, Mona's my fiance, so we can joke around like that. But it's just that is there is no set in stone way of doing something when you're dealing with something like this. And if someone tells you that there is, they're either lying to you or they lack the knowledge of knowing, that. It's like, the Catholic Church that performs exorcisms, Listen, those exorcisms, they do more harm than good because, number one, look at the case of the real Emily Rose, Annalise Michelle, which I did a show on her, and basically proved that she was not possessed. She was not possessed. I have watched the videos, I have heard the audio, and there is nothing there that a normal human being with a mental illness could not have performed. She's saying in a very deep voice, I am Cain, I am Nero, I am Judas. Okay, anybody can do that. And they said, well, she was, crawling around the floor, she was eating spiders, she was, doing these gross things. Hey, it doesn't mean that she was possessed by an outside force. So I do more investigation, more research into it, and find out that her mother was an ultra religious to the point of being so strict that, so religiously strict that it was like a cult, okay? And her mother was a devout Catholic who got pregnant out of wedlock, and I believe with Annalise, okay? Not sure on that, but anyway, make a long story short, this woman convinces her daughter that she is to suffer for the sins of mankind, so that people will look at her suffering and will come to Christ. When the true story is, she didn't want her suffering for people to come to Christ. She wanted her to suffer for what she had done, for her own guilt. And if you really, really research that, and you look and you read about the dynamics in that family, the mother controlled everything, and the father went along with it. And it's so sad. That girl died of malnutrition, dehydration. The two Catholic priests that were there, performing the exorcism, they performed the exorcism when the girl needed mental health. She needed attention for her mental illness, or mental illnesses and personality disorders. She didn't need somebody praying for her. I'm sorry, I'm not being, I'm not disrespecting anyone's religion or anything, but I'm just saying, truth is truth, and right is right, and wrong is wrong, and that was wrong. And they let that poor girl die, believing what her mother had put into her mind from her own guilt. And so, yes, who can say how powerful the human mind is. But one thing is for certain is And Linda and Bruce, please, just, take this for, what it's worth. And everyone listening, when you look in the mirror, you're looking at the best friend or the worst enemy you will ever, you could ever imagine. I'm talking the best friend that you could ever imagine or the worst nightmare you could ever imagine. What's the deciding factor on that? Well, choice. You choose. You choose to accept yourself, all your flaws, all your weaknesses, all your strengths. And when you do, your weaknesses become your strengths. And your losses suddenly become your victories. When you accept it, when you accept yourself as you are, not as you quote unquote should be, or that's guilt based. It's guilt based love, acceptance. And if there was less of that and more, well, come as you are and we'll accept you, rather than this, well, clean yourself up and we'll accept you, stop doing what I see as wrong or unholy, and then I'll accept you, then I'll love you, No. And each person is different. Each mind is different. So what may not bother you, it may really, really crush someone else. So we have to be tolerant. We have to be understanding of, people that are just like, people that, commit suicide for, it's a temporary solution. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And Linda wanted me to, mention that. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. It may not seem like it, but things will get better. Again, it's perspective. It's how you see it. The power of your mind. And never giving up. And I take my hat off to Bruce. Take my hat off to Linda. I mean, Bruce is fighting for his life right now. And there's been many other things that have gone on, that have happened, and they've had several more encounters with these black-eyed children that seem to they haven't, of course, been back to the front door, but they have seen them on their property, and they seem to frequent the hospital when Bruce is there. And Linda hasn't messaged me or anything, so hopefully there's nothing going on tonight there at the hospital. But I asked Linda about security cameras there at the hospital, and if they picked up anything, and she said that the hall that she ran down when she chased them into the chapel, there was no cameras there at that time, which I would really like to look at. If I could, I would like to look at the security camera. And those of you that know about security cameras and how they work and what they pick up and what they don't pick up, feel free to contact me and let me know how that works. I mean, would a security camera pick up what appears to be a source of radiation from somewhere? I mean, of course, it's an unknown source, is what they say, but it happened after this little girl touched Bruce's leg, his calf, and so I'm thinking, could it be that that this girl, we say, is, I don't know, some for lack of a better term, entity that is, radiation, some kind of radiation? Would a security camera pick that up? Or what exactly would pick that up? What could you use, to pick up radiation? Is what? Light? An unknown source of light, very powerful. Geiger counter, but that's not going to be a camera, video. Now, if that could work, if that could be done, and that would possibly be the first time that a black-eyed child ever really caught on camera, as far as I know. And I don't know, it might open the door to many things and explain a lot, give us a lot of answers, and we will do more shows on this, and I will keep you updated on Bruce and Linda, and possibly, when they're ready, if they want to, if they don't, that's fine, but if they do, maybe even have them on the show and telling exactly what has happened and how they feel, and their personal experiences. If you have had experiences with the black-eyed children, or the quote-unquote demonic, or pure evil, and you would like to talk about it, or you'd like to share your story, send me an email at thetexorcistpodcast@gmail.com, and let me know. I mean, that would be great. As I said, the more information that we have on this, more people's experiences, leads to more knowledge and more answers, possibilities. And let me know what your thoughts are on what this could be. And but once again, as Linda said, she said, she said that she was, sharing her story, their story, to hopefully keep people from being deceived and victimized by whatever these things are. They're definitely not regular children, and they definitely have a sinister agenda. She said that they deceive by using your empathy, using your compassion against you. again, it's very insidious and very evil to betray a hurting child or troubled child in pain, a lost child, only to find out that it's not. Anyway, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, and if you have any questions or comments, please share. And please, I never ask for anything, but I'm going to ask tonight if you would go to YouTube and please subscribe to my channel, the Texas Podcast. I have to have 1,000 followers, 1,000 subscribers before I can do live shows. It's a rule that YouTube made, I don't know, 6-9 months ago. And if I could do live videos, it would be awesome, because so much more I could do and show, and could do it live, and like a talk show, showing pictures, videos, charts, whatever. It would be a lot more detailed, and doing interviews with people. So please go to the Texas Podcast channel on YouTube and subscribe. I would appreciate it. And as I said, if you're going through something, and you need someone to talk to, or you need help, feel free to contact me. If I can't help you, then we'll find you someone who can. Also, if you would, you can follow me on Spreaker. That way, when I go live, you'll be notified automatically. So, having said that, again, Linda and Bruce, thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure that that the listeners thank you also, and we will do follow-up shows on this. We wish you and Bruce the best, and send you all the positivity that we can, and all the love we can. Love and light to you all. Love you all. Good night from Texas. See you next time.